How's Rolo doing?
Good. I think the first few days he was definitely not into it. He I would say, let's go outside. And
He
he
was
would
like,
go
nope.
into his crate.
Sure.
Because I still, like, his crate is usually just like there open and he goes in and out of sequences, so it's kind of like a safe spot.
Sure.
But I think the last 2 days, so Thursday, Friday, and then today, I bring out the collar, say let's go outside, and his tail's wagging. Because he knows that when we're doing that,
We're
he
gonna go
gets
for a
to
walk.
get the park more, and he gets to like walk more. So it's actually, I think, he's starting to like
Associate.
with something positive already, which is great because I thought that was gonna take longer. And I was like,
Yeah. No, it's the more you expose them to it, the faster they get over it. But then also that's why I was like, when he goes to the park, put it on him, whatever.
Yes.
So he eats his other stuff, so he doesn't think it's just
like
training time.
Right. No, I've put it on every single time we've gone to the park, and I've gone to the park a little more often than normal, so that he sees
Sure.
like, this is happening when we're out there.
Sure.
But the first few days, I was definitely like trying to tell myself like, you gotta be like finally like, because he was going in his crate, and it was like a little bit heartbreaking. But,
And what if he's over it, great. Otherwise, the other thing I do is close the crate.
yeah, he doesn't even go into any. Like,
Okay.
for 3 straight days now, he sees it, and his tail is actually not even down; it's up and wagging. So
Good.
hopefully,
Yeah, it's just exposure.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, because you're using this a lot more, because you're teaching everything, right? But then eventually, as you do more training, you use it less because he's learning or he has learned. So.
And I know there's still like a long ways to go, but I have noticed already. So I take him out one last time around like 9:30 at night, and because it's just a quick out and back in, I haven't been putting the collar on for that
That's
last
fine.
one because it's just literally across the street, pee and back. But I will kind of pull on his leash a little, and he falls back in line, and he walks with me right next to me to that spot, and then he comes right back inside the building with me without even having the collar on. So I know we still have a long way to go, but he's already starting to like change the way he's thinking a little and saying like, oh, like she should be back here, I should. So
Yeah. Okay.
I guess.
So that's fine if it's a quick little outing or whatever.
Like it takes us less than 3 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
it's perfectly fine. Whenever it's a quick in and out, it's not an issue. And like, let's say you just take him out for a walk and you decide like let's say it's just gonna be like a 3-minute walk, but then you end up deciding like, well, let's go for a little walk around the block or whatever, and he doesn't have the collar on. If he pulls, it's not gonna work against your obedience.
Okay.
Okay, because so the only time it matters is like today we're gonna use the word heel. We're gonna put that in. Is if you say heel, and Rolo starts to like pull or not listen, and you don't reinforce it, that's detrimental because he's like, oh, you said this and you did it, enforce it.
So it must not matter anymore.
Yes, so that's why.
It's almost like if I don't have the collar going forward, I shouldn't use the word heel.
Correct.
So because
You just ignore it. Exactly, because once you start it, and he learns that he doesn't have to actually do it, that becomes a thing.
That's fair. That makes sense.
Other questions? Other questions?
Not really. I'm surprised. I was at the beginning of the week. I was feeling iffy, but now I'm like really like, okay, no, this is good. I'm glad I did this.
And then once we start, so next class will be recall.
Yes.
Which do you happen to have a long leash?
Yes, I did. I got weights.
Oh, okay, yeah. Elizabeth was telling me about it.
I think it's like 20 feet. He said you guys attached another leash to it to make it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So I can also do that.
Yeah, just take your leash like you have here,
and then
clip it, so then it makes it 26 or whatever. 20 to 30 feet is like more of a realistic range, because 20 feet's not that far.
That's true.
If you look at like where he's going to be playing, like
right, because he's not going to be.
He's going to be out there. So that's why we use a longer leash to make it more realistic. But the 20 foot's fine. You can just attach your leash or whatever, because you're only going to be using it for a few weeks or whatever. But once we start to recall stuff, that's when you can start to see the importance of like, oh wow, like, now he's coming back to me. He's chasing the squirrel. He comes back.
I have noticed with the collar on, I think he thinks I'm going to use it when we're at the park, because I've started saying bin, and he actually it's not perfect, but it's way better than it was before.
It happens because once dogs get a concept of like, oh, like now there's consequences, it changes things.
That's fair.
You know, just like with kids.
Right.
You know, like for me, if my mom said don't do that, and then she didn't spank me, and then the one day she spanked me,
Right, it was like, oh, okay.
yeah, right. So, same thing for dogs. I get a lot of dogs that are already trained on treats and positive reinforcement. They don't listen, and then we do one thing of this, and all of a sudden the dog's like, oh, sit, yeah, down, oh, okay. Like all these things, right? Because now they know.
Right.
So,
and again, it's not perfect, obviously, because we haven't done anything recall-wise, but just, I swear to you, just having a collar, I can tell that he's like a little bit more conscious about ignoring me.
yeah. So, and you can, so you said Ben is your recall?
Ben,
Yeah. So you, today, like we use the word heel. You can use whatever word you want to use.
I think heel's fine because I don't really have a word in, like, most of his commands are in English, but Ben is really the only one that's in Spanish.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I don't want to say like Santa Fe every time I want to say it. Just
Bilingual.
Yes, he is.
Okay, yeah, whatever you want to do is perfectly fine.
Heel's good because I don't really have another good word for that in Spanish that's like short and sweet.
Sure.
So.
So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a quick review. I'm going to have you show me the walk and stuff.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. Okay? Go ahead. And what's his number been?
13. He's been at like less than that.
Okay.
His biggest thing is going in front of me. That's been like the biggest.
Hey Elias.
Yeah.
Would you make a list of all the dogs here on your phone and then text it to Bree? I know Misho is missing, but there's another dog missing on the software. Good. And you said the biggest problem is him passing you?
Yeah, that's been the biggest, like, here, he's getting a little wide, which he doesn't do when we're outside.
Uh-huh.
But the biggest problem I've seen is the passing, not just staying behind or going inside. But it's like starting to.
So here, tap, yep, good. And then you're gonna slow down and then stop. Good. So like passing like that?
No, like this is just because he's sitting, which I haven't really been tapping this because at least he's sitting. Like he just gets excited when we're out. Like right now, I think he's a little like unsure because last time we were here it was like. But when we're outside and you know he sees somebody or something, he doesn't go fully like full, but he's definitely trying to see if he can, and then like we pivot and correct. It's getting better, but.
So if you find that you're still having to pivot to correct, you're probably too low.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what's going to determine whether or not you go up on your collar.
Okay.
So I do my 3 correction rule,
Yeah.
which is every time you turn and tap, that's 1 correction, okay? So let's say you go out with the Rolo, let's say you're on 12, you start your walk, turn and tap, turn and tap, turn and tap, right? And then he keeps pulling.
That's when it's like, okay, we need.
Now we gotta bump it, right?
That's actually fair. That makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think of that because like. If it's the same thing every time, eventually he's gonna be like, well, I don't care about this.
So then what I would do, and that's now that gives you like a foundation.
Yes.
So now you know like, okay, every 3 turns, if he doesn't get back on my side and walk well, I'm gonna bump it. A dog his size, I'd go up, levels of 3.
Yes.
Okay. So every 3 corrections, you would bump it. 15, tap, 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 whatever. Okay. 18,
Okay.
repeat. Hey, Elias.
Yeah.
Winnie. Poop. And then eventually, like, let's say you hit 21. And then on 21, all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, that's.
And now you're walking and he's staying on your hip and you walk past dogs and people and whatever. Then you go, okay, 21. Okay. And then 21, because as they get more focused, you might start to see that he gets more sensitive.
Yes.
Okay. So then your number might go down, but I wouldn't go down to 12.
Right. Okay. 'Cause
I'd go
I
down
have
like
seen
18
that,
or so.
where it's like, I can tell I'm like going. I don't think I've gone above like 21. I definitely haven't gone above. For the most part, we've been like between 13, 16. There's been times when we even go down a little bit, but I think those are the times that then I lose his focus.
Mhm.
Now that I think about it,
Mm.
so I think I just have to like keep that in mind because I haven't really thought about that.
Gotcha. So, what determines whether or not you go up is simply his response. If I'm at 15, I tap him once, and he's here, and I can walk for 30 minutes,
That's it.
we're good.
Right.
Right? Then if he starts jumping at 15, then I go down to 12.
Yeah.
If 12 is not listening, then 14. You really fine tune it. But the 3 correction rule is a good guide.
Yeah, because I hadn't even thought of that. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. So you can start applying that today. And now what we're going to do is the walk look good. I can see a bit of a spacing off. But you said typically he doesn't do that.
He hasn't been doing that outside.
So I don't. These guys, we just took them out right now, and everybody's just like
Yeah.
peeing. Some dogs in here, like I had a guy, his dog would be like 10 feet, not 10 feet, like 3 feet back. And he's like, she doesn't do this outside. She's like, outside she's perfect. I'm like, oh, okay, well then I'm not going to worry about it
Yeah,
here.
I wouldn't worry about the side one. I think I'm more concerned about the front one when I'm outside with
Yeah,
him.
so whenever he passes you, remember it's going to be that 180 pivot like this, going straight back the opposite way like that, abruptly, and then tapping to correct them to your side, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and add in the word of heel.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is go to step next to Rolo. And what you're going to do is you're going to cue heel first, and then you're going to move forward with your left leg.
Okay.
Okay, this is going to be a permanent thing now.
Okay.
So every time we say heel, you want to move forward with your left leg.
Okay.
The reason why we do that is for Rolo, the left leg is the closest,
Right.
so he can see that moving forward, so that becomes his visual cue of now we're walking, okay? And more advanced training, left leg means walk with me, right leg means don't move,
Oh, I see.
okay? So what we're doing is we're just conditioning him, so every time he sees this leg moving, he's assuming he's gonna walk with you, okay?
Okay.
So we're gonna do that a few times just to get the
So-
muscle memory down.
So I'm going to say heel and then just start walking, but with my left foot.
Correct. You'll walk for a little bit, you'll come to a stop. He should automatically sit, wait a moment, heel, and then walk again with your left foot.
Okay.
Okay?
Given he just shifted, should I move him? or
No,
should I-
that's okay. As long as he's on your left side, I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Heel.
Tap.
Oh,
There we go. Tap. And then walk. Yep, there we go. Good. And slow to stop.
sorry, I wanted to get a little closer.
There you go. Heel.
Heel.
Good. And then slow to stop. Good. Heel.
Heel.
Good. Slow to stop. That's fine. Heel, left leg.
Heel.
Good.
So cautious.
Good. And slow to stop.
Ups.
Yeah, there you go. That's fine. And then just step over a little bit. Good. Heel.
Heel. So is heel more like to start walking or?
So yeah, so go ahead, keep going. And then you're gonna do a U-turn here. Yep. And then slow to stop. So I teach heel differently than other trainers,
Okay.
if you're familiar.
I'm not.
With it. So some people teach heel as to come to your side
Yeah, uh-huh.
and then to walk, okay? I just teach it as to walk.
Okay.
Because for me, that's 2 different commands.
One is like almost like come here.
Come to the side.
And then the
Yeah,
other one's walk.
because so I teach that as finish.
Okay.
Finish is come to my side. Because we have come, like get over here,
Uh-huh.
right? I don't care where you land, just come here.
Right.
And then finish is come to my left side.
Like almost
specifically.
like
And then heel is walk with me. Okay? So heel for me is walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop.
Okay.
That's what heel is. It's a package.
Great.
Okay? So here, anytime you go from stationary to motion, you would cue heel first and then start walking with your left leg. Okay? If you go outside now and you walk with Rolo and you don't say anything, he can do whatever he wants. Okay? Because you didn't say heel.
Okay.
You would have to say heel first and then Rolo has to walk.
So heel also means he has to stay on that left side and do all this like safe space kind of.
Yes.
Okay.
If you don't say anything, he's free.
So
he
like,
can pull, he can wander, he can sniff, he can pee, he
Okay,
can
that
poop.
would be helpful.
So we have an,
Sorry, keep going.
I'll say we have it's an on and off switch.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like, because we talked about letting him know he was kind of like off the command so he could like sniff around or like go to the park or whatever, and now this one's gonna like bring him back to start, like we're gonna like
do it again. Yeah, because I think last week it was just tap the button, right? So now you're gonna, so the reason why we do that, the reason why I don't say heel first is because people are more inclined to use the word. So for the first week, they'll use the word, but they won't use the collar.
Yeah, that's
so this forces them to have to use the collar.
Yeah,
Okay. So heel is the on switch.
Yeah.
Break is the off switch.
Yeah.
Once I say break, Rolo's off the clock. He can pee, poop, roll on the ground. He can pool, whatever.
I think the hard part for me has been because, and this is just a habit that I need to break for him. I didn't even think I was going to say this earlier. It's like, because normally, like, I mean, we don't walk far, but we'll do like maybe like a half of the block loop for him to pee and poop. So I was thinking he was done, and that maybe he didn't have to poop, for example, and then I'd like tap him to get him to my side, and we'd start walking, and he'd start kind of pulling like crazy because he needed to go. And I think my biggest thing is still kind of learning, like breaking the habit of like, okay, when we're doing, like, it's almost like he wants to stay within the side because he knows he's under, like, the command, but also is like, but I need to go. So, like, I'm starting to try, like, we're getting better at, like, really doing everything before we start and making sure we got everything out of his system.
So,
because he's not, like, on a perfect pooping cycle.
Sure. So, if you want to make him more consistent with just pooping, or like going to the bathroom first, what I do is I give him a limited amount of time. I'll give him like 5 minutes to pee and poop, and then I start walking, and I don't stop.
Got it.
Okay, so then if he tries to stop to sniff or whatever to pee or poop, I correct him, I keep walking. So what happens is he learns, like, I have a small window.
And I have to do it. I've already seen, because I told you last time, where like, I say the ADD is real, because he like, kind of sniffs and wanders, and it takes him a while to like go to the bathroom, but it's just because everything is like interesting. And you told me that I might see a change because of this, like just making him more focused. I definitely saw that. Like,
gotcha.
I think because I did kind of not read his signals well those first few times, and he was kind of like, I don't know what to do. Now when I say go, he's like, okay, I'm just gonna poop, like, and then like, like I'll go back.
Because we're developing habits. So like my Chihuahua, when I got him, he would pee on 100 things, and it would take forever.
Yes.
So then I'm like, all right, well, we're not going to do that anymore. So I'd give him 5 minutes, and I started walking, and then during the walk, he'd try to pull, and I would correct him. And then eventually he learned, oh crap, like I only have 5 minutes, and we're going to go for a long walk. That he just started running out and peeing, and then pooping, getting it done, and then we would just walk.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay, so it's not being mean, but he's learning, like, okay, like this is my time. And then you can give him, 5 minutes in the beginning, 5 minutes in the middle, 5 minutes at the end.
Right, like
you can break it up however you want. And but it teaches them, like, okay, this is my, it's like with kids, right? Mom, when we're gonna go for a road trip, we're going to be driving for a few hours. Go to the bathroom now, right? Because that's gonna be your only opportunity. So it's the same thing for these guys. And then he's just learning, like, okay, like, this is the new pattern now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay? So what we're gonna do here is, so heel turns everything on. From going forward, if you don't say anything, technically Rolo can do what he wants. If Rolo was pulling, let's say you're walking, right? and he's not on any command, and then you decide to tell him to heel, I wouldn't say heel as he's pulling you.
Oh,
Okay? What you would do is you would come to a stop.
Got it.
He might be there, and you could say heel and turn and tap
In
the other direction. Or let's say Rolo sits, and you can just step next to him, heel, and then start walking.
Kind of cue like we're gonna start.
Yeah. So he's not gonna come to your. He's not gonna. If you say heel, he's not gonna back off and come to your side.
Right.
You have to do something opposite to him, or start from a position like this.
Right.
Okay. Questions about that?
No, I think that makes sense.
So now what
Just practice.
we're going to cover is 2 types of turns.
Okay.
We have the crossover turn, and then we have the pivot turn. Okay.
I've been sticking to just the same route of the block to turn in the same direction.
So after today, you can you could do a normal walk. Okay. So with the crossover turn, the reason why we call it crossover is because you're going to be crossing over Rolo. Okay. When you make this turn, you're going to lead it with your right leg. Okay. And you're going to cut in front of Rolo at a 90-degree angle.
Okay.
And then the left leg, and you're going to cut in front of him again with the right leg to go back the opposite. Exactly. It's going to be like a square. So then you would come again, right leg, right leg. Okay. Now before you make this turn, you want to slow down first.
Okay.
So before every stop and before every turn, you always want to slow down to tell Rolo something is changing.
Okay.
What we should see is he's going to slow down too.
Right.
And when he slows down, it makes it much easier for him to see what you're doing with your body language. Exactly. Now, if you slow down and Rolo keeps going, what do you want to do?
Tap.
And
Pivot.
exactly.
To the opposite direction.
The opposite direction. That rule is always in effect. Okay. So like 2 years from now, Rolo passes you, you would still turn and tap. Okay. The difference is the rate of turning, of course, should be exactly like my guys. Maybe once in a blue moon, I turn because they're so conditioned. Okay.
Right.
So if you slow down and Rolo keeps going, don't try to commit to it. He's not paying attention. Pivot, turn, and tap.
And then I get his attention.
The other turn is the pivot turn. This one's different.
Okay.
The one you did last week is abrupt.
Yes, it's like
Okay.
trying to get his attention. Like,
Exactly. There is no warning. For this turn, it's not abrupt because it would be unfair to be abrupt if he's paying attention. So same concept, you're going to slow down, and then you're going to step out with your left leg,
Okay.
step back on your right leg, and then turn like this.
Okay.
Okay? So it's left, right, left.
And the other one's right, left, right.
Correct. It's opposite. So you're leading the turn with the leg opposite to the turn. You turn left, you lead right, you turn right, you lead left.
Okay.
Okay? So we're going to start first with the crossover turns.
Yes.
You're going to cue the word heel first, start walking with your left leg. And then once you're ready, you're going to slow down at least 3 steps. More is perfectly fine. And then just get ready to cross over with that right leg. Okay? Whenever you're ready.
Heel.
Right, left, right. Perfect.
I have to like think about this. Oh, I think that was me.
So I think you led that with your left.
Sorry?
I think you led that one with your left.
Oh. Got it.
So then you'll slow down when you're ready. Right, then right, left, and then right again. There you go. Good.
Well, I think this is more complicated for me than it is for me.
Well, it's a lot of thinking. Right, left, right. So on that second right foot, you'd already be going back the opposite way.
Okay. I'm doing like 3.
Yeah, you're doing like an extra step or 2. Right, left, right. Much better.
Okay. Oh, I see what I was doing. Okay.
Yeah. So if you do this correctly, you should stay within the width of the sidewalk.
Right. I shouldn't be like.
If you're in someone's yard, you got a problem. Okay. Heel, left leg.
Heel.
There you go. right, left, right. Just like that. Good. Keep forward. That's okay. Good. Right, left, right. Now you see how you kind of cut him off there?
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Because I went too quick.
Yeah, you didn't slow down.
Okay.
Much better. That's okay. Good. Let's just do a few more. Left, right. Good.
You're not even close. That's impressive.
Left, right. Good. Two more. Good. One more. Good. And slow to a stop. That's okay for now. So you see how he was watching you?
Yeah.
So here,
He's confused.
the reason why we use that right leg is because it gives him enough time to adjust.
Oh, if I did my left, I'd be like on
He'd be
top
right
of
there,
him.
exactly. You would kick him out or you'd step
Yeah,
on him,
yeah, yeah.
okay? It's like the dog that I saw before you, who was already trained, and they were taught to use their left leg. But now I was like, but every time you do your left turn, and it's a big dog, it's a German Shepherd, I'm like, you're having to, kick
Yes.
your dog out.
Yeah.
I was like, leave with the right leg, and then the dog just turns with
Yeah,
you.
that's right.
So you can see where he was looking at you.
Yeah.
Sometimes he would stop. On a few of them, he turned with you.
Yes.
And on others, like he flipped around.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what he does. It just matters that he lines up with you
Which he did. Like
at
he
the
was,
end. Eventually, once he gets used to it, and he's like, oh, you're just doing this, you're going to see him follow your lead
Right.
much more easily.
Okay.
And he's going to naturally start turning with you. So now we're going to do the pivot turn.
Okay.
So that's going to be the opposite way.
Yes.
And it's going to be the left, right, left. Okay? So the difference between the communicated turn and the abrupt turn or the correction turn,
This is slowing.
exactly. Okay? So the abrupt turn is when he's not paying attention. There's no need to tell him what you're doing. He's not paying attention. It would be unfair, of course, to just turn like that if he was doing a good job of walking at your side. So that's when we do the communicated turn, which is slowing down and left, right,
I feel
left.
like I'm the one who needs to practice the legs, and then also like keeping in mind the tapping for when he's not like.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he's not meant to do this,
Right.
Like dogs aren't meant to be on a leash; they're
Right,
meant to be
true.
free and stuff,
True.
right? And he's not meant to even look like that.
Right.
This is all human stuff, right? So here, the reason why that picked up so quickly, and this is going to be the same thing; it's going to be super simple, is because now you're talking his language.
Got it.
Okay, so heel is two parts. Heel is Rolo, pay attention to me, walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. And then heel for you is make sure Rolo's paying attention, but also communicate what you're doing,
Right.
right? So it's like driving. You know what you're doing. The other drivers don't know, right? So you ever had it where you're like, oh, don't, like someone turns but they don't put their blinker
Yeah,
on?
and you're like, well, I didn't even know you were
But-
doing that.
exactly. Same thing for the dog. So think of your legs as blinkers.
Okay.
Okay, so like when you slow down, it's like pumping your brakes
Yeah,
to let
right,
him know,
right,
like, hey, something's changing. So if he's paying attention, he's gonna just pick up on it, and then he's going, what are we doing? And the way you use your legs tells him we're turning left, we're turning right, we're going that way, we're going this way. Okay, so it's just like driving. So typically, whenever there's a mistake, one of two things. If you slow down and he's not slowing down with you, you're probably too low. Okay, because that means he's not paying attention. He's not paying attention because it's not important. Or if it feels awkward, or you like, remember that one where I said, does that feel like
Yes.
abrupt? And you said yes. I was like, why do you think that is? And you said, oh, because I didn't slow down. Exactly. So it's either you're too low or you're not slowing down.
Like not
Those are the
giving him
two.
cue.
That's the two most common things that happen during the heel that people forget about.
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and cue heel, start left leg, and then you're gonna do a round of pivots.
Okay. Heel.
Mm-hmm.
Left, right?
Correct. Left, right, left, like that.
I didn't really slow down much.
Right, left, good.
Was that okay to tap him there?
He was a little bit off, so that's fine. Left, right, left. There you go. Left, right, left. And he's a little off because he's straying to the side. You shouldn't have this issue
Outside.
at home. Yeah, if his walks have been fine. Okay, there you go.
Good job.
Good, couple more. Good.
This feels much more natural to me right now.
Feels natural.
This one just feels
Yeah, most
natural.
people tend to pivot naturally. There you go, and then slow to a stop. Yeah, more often than not, when people pivot, they tend to pivot like that.
Right, that was, whereas the other one, I do feel like I have to think like, no.
Yeah, because
Because when I turn that way, I want to turn the, like, I have to actually think of using
What
my
you're
right
doing.
leg first. Uh-huh.
and it's normal. Because also, like when we walk with another human, like it's very easy. Like, hey, we're gonna go over here,
Uh-huh.
and we're not having to worry about how we're walking.
Yes, correct.
But with this guy, he's going by how your legs are moving.
Correct.
So typically the pivots are easier for the dogs.
Uh-huh.
But here, I think it's just difficult for him because he's fanning out.
outside, uh-huh.
So when you're at home, it shouldn't be as difficult. It should be a lot more straightforward.
Okay.
Okay. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna switch between these two turns randomly.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I'm going to be more tripped on than you.
So take your time. When you slow down, feel free to walk as slow as long as you need to
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
get your steps ready.
Okay.
Okay. So because if he's matching your pace, it doesn't matter what
That's
speed
true.
you're going.
That's true.
So you're just kind of calculating. Okay. Now I'm gonna turn left with my right leg. Okay.
Okay.
And it happens with everybody. You know, they get tripped up. So like when I work with dancers,
Oh,
dancers actually, when I used to train dogs myself, and because I used to train the dog
and then hand them over.
and then hand them over, is I would already do this stuff
Thanks.
because it's so natural to me. And they would always go like, "Oh, you're doing a rock step, or you're doing this with your," like they would
Yeah,
know
like all
because they're
over.
watching my leg movements. They're like, "Yeah, you're doing the same thing every time you turn."
Yeah.
But even like one of my employees, Andy, he's a dance teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling him about the steps. He's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I know this," but even he makes mistakes
Yeah.
because he's not used to like applying it.
Constantly, like, yeah.
So,
Okay.
so when you're ready, go into Q heel,
Okay. Heel.
and you're gonna do the turns however you want. Okay, just random. Left, right. Right. Right, there we go.
I definitely widened that one.
It's okay. When you're on the sidewalk, it's going to be more clear because you're going to have limited space, right? Left, right. There you go. So it kind of forces you to keep it in a certain space. There you go.
I don't know why I'm going diagonally. That makes no sense.
There you go.
I'll go straight now.
That's why Rolo has problems.
Probably. Yeah, I think that was me.
Good. Keep forward. Good. Good. Just a few more.
It's definitely that left, like the crossover one. It's gonna take more.
Good.
That's tough, man.
Good. Couple more.
Good job, buddy. And I'm diagonal again.
I'm sorry?
I'm diagonal again.
Oh. I hope you don't drive like this. Good, and then slow to stop. Good. So when we do these turns correctly, there should be no tapping.
I didn't, and I also didn't, I mean, I felt a little bit of a pull when I was uncertain myself, but for the most part, I didn't feel like I was having to like do anything.
Yeah. And again, his on the pivots is just because he's fanning out. What he does outside is what matters.
Okay. I'll make sure to keep an eye on that though, and make sure, like if I have to keep them tighter than I have in order so that doesn't happen outside, I can. Like if for some reason he's fanning out outside as well, and I just haven't noticed, but I'll
sure.
notice it when I start
pivoting and stuff.
The turns.
Yeah.
And if I do notice that, I'll like bring him in a little closer and make sure he starts.
What you can do is if you see the consistency of him being off on the side, you can either speed up the tap to bring him like this.
Almost like diagonal.
Or you can pivot, turn, and tap. Okay. There's no right or wrong there because what you're trying to get is him to come to you.
Yes.
Okay. So like when he goes that way, we go that way. So he comes to us, right? Or if he's going this way, like let's say there's a sidewalk like this, you could just go like this, because that would technically be opposite to him, right? So with these turns, if Rolo is paying attention, there should be no need for remote.
Right.
Right, because you're communicating everything.
Right.
Okay. So here, if you slow down to turn left, a lot of people get stuck on the commitment.
Okay.
You know, they're like, oh, I'm going to turn left. But then the dog keeps going.
Oh.
So then you, like you said, you have to abrupt turn. You have to correct the dog. But it's natural for a person to just pull back and try to force it.
Yes.
Okay?
I've been pretty good at that. I was telling my neighbor, I was like, I probably look like a crazy person casing an apartment building or something, because I'm like, pivot.
Yeah. That's how it is in the beginning.
But no, I've been pretty mindful about that one. So even if I really want to turn left and he's still not following, I'll make sure to look like a crazy person casing the turn.
Yeah, always pivot. Okay, and then if you feel like you're pivoting, we're too low.
Yes.
Okay, so then you just go up.
That's the thing I was missing, I think.
Yeah. So so when it comes to applying these turns, so now when you say heel, that's when these turns come into play.
Right.
If Rolo's on a loose walk, whatever, we don't worry about these turns because he's not paying attention. He's on his own time.
That's true. I haven't. Yeah.
Yes. So then these turns are only effective when he's under the heel command.
That's okay.
Okay. So what I suggest in the beginning is, as you're learning and conditioning yourself, is you let Rolo do his potty break.
Yes.
You get that done. You're gonna do 5 heels to stops.
Oh, to kind of start. Yes.
To get your muscle memory down.
Yes.
5 heels to stops, 5 heels to crossover turns, and then 5 heels to pivots. Okay? At the beginning of your walk, just to warm yourself up.
That's right.
And then once you're ready, heel, we start walking.
Okay.
The hard part now is going to be as you're walking with Rolo, applying these turns, right? So like it's like you get the red light. Exactly. You have to time it out. You have to slow down. Okay, I'm going to turn left, the stop sign, right, left, right. Now, if you're making a regular soft left, you just lead it with the right. You keep going straight. So right, like this, and you would keep going, right? Because what we covered today.
I wouldn't do this.
A full U-turn, correct. So we do the U-turn for the sake of example.
Yes, correct.
But then also, the reason for the pivot turn and the crossover turn is if you're on the sidewalk and you have to change directions, if there's people here, you have the pivot turn, okay? If there's people behind you and this is empty, you have the crossover turn. So that's the reason why we have 2 180 type turns. But when turning left, you would lead with your right and just keep going forward. And then when you turn right, a soft right, you would still lead with your left like this, and then you would just go like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
I just, again, wouldn't do like a full
pivot. Exactly.
That makes sense.
Okay. Questions about any of this stuff so far?
Again, I think it's more like it's almost like just like a dog. I need to go home and like
process. Yeah. Well, it's like if you ever try to learn something, like, because I play guitar, And when I took guitar lessons, my teacher said, don't try to sit there and practice for 8 hours. He said, practice this stuff for like 10 to 15 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day.
Time to like process,
Exactly.
not feel like.
Because it just gets overwhelming. Like you don't. It's or like working out. Like they say that's work out longer than like I think 45 minutes, because then it's pointless.
Yeah.
Okay, so same thing here with this guy. When you do this, that's why we break it up in smaller chunks to help the dog process. But then once he's trained or conditioned, you can just say heel and go for a nice long 1 hour walk.
True.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Other questions?
We can't even do that right now because he fractured his shoulder a while ago and we're.
Oh, is he still in recovery?
Like we're on short. Like it's fine to add up to an hour in a day, but we're supposed to be doing short walks and not long walks. So it works out both ways.
How did he fracture his shoulder?
In his crate.
Trying to get out?
I think honestly I wasn't there. I went out to get coffee when he was a puppy, and I put he's still 10 months old, but like I think he was like 4 months old. I put him in the crate to go get coffee. So he wasn't in there for more than 30 minutes. And he has always been fine, fully crate trained, like never an issue. So the vet thinks when I came back and I let him out, immediately he like let out a whimper and was limping really badly. And the vet thinks that he might have like done something where his paw went through like.
Oh, and then tried to pull it out.
And then when he tried to pull it out, he might have jerked funny and like fractured his shoulder. Basically.
Oh wow.
She was like, kind of a freak thing. Like there's nothing you could have done. You crate trained your dog, which is like the right thing to do when you're leaving him alone at home, especially as a puppy. But like it's one of those like freak accidents, but at the same time, I've definitely seen them, and I was like, oh great, one place you're supposed to be fine.
Well, that happened to Elizabeth's dog, Luna.
It did?
Well, not the fracture, but she was here, and I put her in a big 54-inch kennel. It's huge.
Right.
And the way she laid down is one of the bars, her paw got underneath, like right between the toes. And then when they went to let her out to go potty, all of a sudden she started screaming, and I was like, what the hell's going on?
Right.
Then I saw her paw was stuck. And I was like, you had this huge 54-inch kennel, and you still managed to get your paw stuck in there.
His crate was, it's like this size, because I bought the crate full size for what he was going to be like fully grown.
Grow into.
And at the time, I didn't even have the divider in there. He had like a full space, and he was 4 months old, so he was definitely smaller than this. And still he managed to like, so now we're just, like, apparently the fracture happened in a growth plate, so he has like a...
Oh.
So as he's gotten older, I've seen like the limping a little bit more pronounced. So we started going to physical therapy, and they basically were like it's good to get him to like get that muscle going. Like you want to walk him and you want to make sure he does these things, but like keep it short so you don't like exacerbate anything. And
right.
Basically told me that he had to be on like hip and joint supplements for the rest of his life, which is funny because he's 10 months old.
Sure. Oh yeah, sure.
Like just, it is what it is. But he's,
yeah, from what I see here, like he seems fine.
He, I don't know if he's doing it right now, but he doesn't put a lot of weight on that leg.
Which shoulder is it?
The left shoulder.
Okay, I can maybe see that from here.
He spends a lot of time like with either up or it's down, but like.
The way he yeah.
And my concern is that because he's overcompensating with the right and like with his right side of his body, that eventually like.
That's its own thing.
Like lead to something, I don't know.
Sure.
He's small enough that if I have to carry him places, it's fine, but I'd rather not carry him up and downstairs. That's just my concern.
So what we'll do here is another batch of like the turns and stuff. And I'm gonna have you add in some stops as well.
Okay.
So coming to a stop, him sit next to you, auto sit, then the heel.
So when I come to a stop, no matter where, or no matter like, maybe it's the end of a sidewalk or whatever, the moment I'm gonna start walking again, I always say heel. It's not just like at the beginning of our walk.
So once you're further along, once you say heel, that command is in effect until you release him or give him a new command.
Got it.
So technically, you say heel once.
And that should be it.
And then you just make sure to always move with your left leg, okay? At this stage, because you're conditioning him to recognize or to build a concept of what heel is, we say it each time because you're trying to get it in his head, heel, heel, right? So like let's say in a couple of months, he's really good. With the walking and the turning and everything, you would just say heel. You could walk for 20 minutes and then you would stop, break. He could do his doggy thing, but then you'd have to say heel again.
Okay.
Because you'd have to initiate it. So it's in effect technically until you give a new command.
That's because we're working on getting it in effect.
Correct. You're gonna always, even if you're taking 5 steps, heel. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Forward. Heel.
Heel.
Good turn. Good.
Heel.
Good. Yep, good. Good.
Heel.
Good crossover. Good. Now he's naturally pivoting with you. Just be more mindful. Good.
Heel.
Good.
Egg. Heel.
Good. Good. There you go. Good. Good.
Heel.
Good turn. Good. And slow to stop. Very good.
I think it's impressive how much more he looks at me to like follow me in the past week. It's kind of crazy.
It's not going to be forever
Okay.
in the beginning because you're doing more of this.
Uh-huh.
But what's going to happen is he can see you
Right.
through his
Peripheral.
peripheral.
Uh-huh.
Is he'll still look and stuff, but he's more so watching you through here.
Right.
Okay.
Right now he's still kind of like.
He's still kind of more like, okay, what's going on, because he's learning. But once he gets used to it, you're going to see him like kind of act like nothing's happening, but he's paying attention.
It's just crazy because it's like, okay, you're actually looking at me and paying attention to me, whereas before it's like, oh, bird, tree.
Sure.
Right.
And that's why I tell people this is quick, because we're teaching in his language.
Yeah.
You know, but his language is physicality. So the e-collar is your physicality, but then also they communicate through body language. And now you're using body language. That's why these turns are kind of effortless, because he is paying attention, so it allows him to take in what you're saying when you're communicating with your legs and the pivots and the crossing over and stuff. Okay? So remember, when you walk with him now, when you say heel, that's when everything goes into effect. If you don't say heel, technically he's on his own time. He can do whatever he wants. And then to start with 5 heels, 5 crossovers, 5 pivots, just to warm up. Then start your turn, start your walk. If once you get this in your muscle memory, you don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I do that to force people to practice.
Yes.
Otherwise, because you're not going to do that many turns during a walk.
Right.
So it helps kind of get it in your system. And then if he's not paying attention, you're probably too low.
Okay.
Or if he's not getting the turns and you're slowing down, you're probably not communicating correctly.
Okay.
Okay? So that the legs are super important. So if it feels awkward, you're probably doing something incorrectly.
Right, right.
Numbers too low, or we didn't slow down. Exactly. Questions?
No. Well, I just need to practice.
Yep. So next class we'll start the recall stuff. You don't have to worry about bringing the leash. We have plenty here.
Okay.
But then you'll of course need the you have weights to practice at the park, whatever.
Should we keep doing them here, or do you think it might be beneficial at a park or something?
So we're gonna move to Oz Park soon.
Okay. Okay. I Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm waiting because the weather's still inconsistent.
That's true.
Because the other day I was at Oz Park for 2 hours
Ooh.
for a client.
And it was cold.
It was cold.
Yeah.
and then, and I'm gonna be there all day.
Okay.
So I'm there from like, once we go to Oz, I'll be there from like 8 in the morning to like.
That's right.
So, but we will be working outside soon. I'm planning on one more week here before we transition to the
Okay.
park. That's
Okay.
my general thought process. Because the other thing was our microphones.
Oh, you want to make sure it gets picked up. Like
Yeah, because otherwise it'll be just wind. But I picked up new microphones for the
Okay.
clients and stuff that are wireless.
Okay.
So that makes things a lot easier. But yeah, that's gonna happen soon within the next 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay.
But in regards to like transferring this to the neighborhood, even with the recall stuff, it's not difficult because it's just the number.
Again, the only thing that's been weird is like me telling my neighbor I probably look like I'm casing the joint, but he is doing fine. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, but that's normal in the beginning.
No,
So
it's funny because we keep asking ourselves, like, I don't feel like I saw Melissa or Wade or any of them do this. And Wade told me he did it in the school parking lot, so I think I'm going to start doing it there.
Oh, sure.
It looks a little less like
crazy.
whatever.
Yeah, it's common. I always tell everybody in the beginning, like, you're gonna look crazy for a bit, but you'll be fine. Okay, good job. Break.
Awesome. The other thing that's been impressive is this.
Oh, him sitting still.
God, I used to have to like wrangle him and fight him all the time.
That's the value of discipline.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is, I mean, I'm liking everything we've done so far, but this specifically is really nice.
Yeah, because you've eliminated options. Because before everything was an option.
Right.
But once you get them under control and focused, and of course, when you say break,
Right.
do your thing now.
He's still having like a little bit of a problem with that. He's like, do you really need
For real,
to
for real?
go?"
Yeah.
Go, puppies. Go.
Break. Good.
Go. Good job.